Hey everybody, Psychosaurus is here, and today I want to talk about something. Now, as you might know, Halloween event is over, which is obvious. You can see the trees, and yeah, pretty much you cannot play or even go to the haunted isle anymore. But you can still play the archived quest and get some extra materials at Halloween event point. So if you wanna earn some extra for the next Halloween, you still can. But yeah, that's not the main thing here. I want to talk about damage improving stats, and the main focus here is gonna be damage, attack rate, and critical chance. And if you're asking why I'm doing this, it's because I'm so tired of reading on Discord why you should pick Marduk is just because there's less overkill on units, and I'm like, that that's such a boring argument. Oh my god, it's you hear it so many times, it's just so boring all of a sudden. So let's get to it. Okay, so let's get to it. Okay, and I opened the painting here, so let me write it down. Okay, make this larger for you. Okay, so we're gonna talk about the damage. Remove this piece. Nah, it's fine. There it is. We're gonna talk about damage, attack rate, and crit chance. Okay, these three things. Just a reminder. Damage, whatever damage you get from items, upgrades, that just means the attacks of your units will do more damage. Every hit just does more damage. That's how I would say it, simplified. Attack rate means your units will do in certain amount of time this percentage more attacks. So let's say if you have attack rate plus 20%, then that means by the same amount you will do 5 hits, you suddenly do 6 hits instead. That's the difference. At crit chance, this one is just, hey, I have a chance to apply to do additional damage with each attack, doing double damage, triple damage in case of Celts if you are using Ambiorix Advisor H4. So just a fast recap for those. Now I want to talk about the advantages of these stats. So damage in general, let me make this a little bit smaller. So big plus on damage, it means less hits required to kill. This one is very important because if you double the damage, it means I kill the enemy unit in half the amount of hits. That's really good. Attack rate, on the other hand, means more attacks, which which actually means less time required to kill. This is very different, okay? Because damage means, hey, I just need less hits, which results in less time needed to kill it. However, attack rate means I do more hits in the same amount of time, which leads to I need less time to actually kill it, because if I suddenly my attack rate is doubled, it's gonna take half the time because I'll do the number of hits required to kill the target in half the amount of time. And good chance is just I'll just do the chance. I'll just get the chance to kill it faster. But the main thing are these two. Now Obviously, people talking about the overkill is correct, but I would say it's only partially correct. If you think about it, it will make sense. And I'm just gonna show it to you here. So, Toxotes, using the Marduk's bow from the last year and that has returned this year on Halloween event and the Master Hunter. If we take a look at the stats, you can obviously see the DPS output is better with the Marduk's bow, which makes sense since overall damage output is gonna go up by 50% versus Master Hunter will give you only 40%. This is the average one, okay, or average values. I'm not gonna go into some different values. However, there might be situations where Master Hunter can be better. And as an example, I'm gonna use this. Okay, imagine. Okay, how much do you give? 20%. Okay, so 20%. Can I make this up? So let's say we need to kill a target, and let's say it's gonna take 6 hits if we are using the Marduk's bow, and it's gonna take 5 hits using the Master Hunter. And this is gonna be helpful. Is this correct? I don't know. I feel like I want to use my example, so it's gonna be better. Okay, a little bit different. Let's say it's 25% attack rate because some shenanigans. That's what I want to use. So 25% attack rate. With Marduk's bow, you're gonna kill it in 5 hits. With the Master Hunter, you're gonna kill it in 4 hits. Just theoretically, okay? Just there is some case. So what does that mean? It will take the same amount for both of these builds to kill that unit. Because it will take 4 hits here, but they are stronger. So I'll require the less hits, which is obvious. I need only 4. Here I'll need 5, but because of the 25% attack rate, I'll do the 5th hit at the same time as the 4th hit is happening here. So same amount of time. No problem here. However, what if we add one more Toxotes? Who's gonna kill it faster now? And when you think about it, the answer should obviously be Toxotes with Master Hunter. Now why is that? Remember, we need 4 hits, but if we have 2 Toxotes, both of them attack the same target, that means we need to do only 2 volleys to kill it. However, if we use the Marduks, and we have 2 Toxotai here, we need to do 3 volleys. Because the first volley, that's for 2, second volley is for 4, but we need 5 hits. And all of a sudden, hey, there's an overkill, isn't there? There's an overkill of 1 shot. And that's what I mean, that arguing about the overkill, it kind of makes sense, but also there are situations where the overkill is going to happen with the attack rate as well. Now, this was very specific, obviously, and it's hard to specify like all these cases because we obviously have so many units that we can include, especially if we include the fact that they are elite, and oh boy, that would be like forever video, like trying to test that against everything. Nobody wants to do that, believe me. I don't really want to sit here and keep checking all of these and calculating, and no, we just don't want to do that, okay? So I'm gonna say there are situations where Master Hunter is gonna be better, but there are also situations where Marduk is gonna be better. But I'm gonna say pick whichever one you like more, because that's gonna make more sense for you. If it makes more sense for you to pick the Marduk, if it's gonna make sense for you to pick the Master Hunter, that's up to you. All of these really good choices. It's all up to you. But let's go into more real thing. Now, obviously, if we have like few Toxotai early, obviously, if we have enough Toxotai to burst one unit at a time, then obviously Marduk's is gonna be better. But if we are lacking this one Toxotis to kill the target, but with Master Hunter we will be able to kill it, then Master Hunter is obviously gonna be better because we don't have to attack it twice. So again, it depends. Now let's take into consideration like this huge scale where we have like 60 of these units or maybe even 80 or how many you like. This is getting very challenging because what you want to do is just move the army close enough, press S to stop it or whatever hotkey you're using, just stop the army and then will automatically target whichever unit is close enough. And however the formula for this works, there's a nice blog about this on forums, you can check that out. Really interesting reading how it works. But yeah, if you have been paying attention to these kind of fights, you can notice that quite a few Toxotai will focus like this one target and then it's gonna be like spread. Yeah, a lot of them are just gonna focus on the first, like, let's say 2 lines of units. Then obviously it's gonna happen that there's gonna be a lot of overkill. But obviously, if this is where it's gonna get really interesting, because if we're gonna consider Marduks, then obviously it's gonna be better if when we are overkilling a lot those units that are targeted by a lot of Toxotai. But what if we include those units that are not targeted by that many Toxotai? Now this is where the situation might be better for Master Hunter, because in that case you might be able to kill them, whereas with the Marduks you will need one more volley against them. And again, this is very situational. So again, I just want to point out that you should not say like, hey, Marduks is necessarily better, even though it looks better on paper with the damage output, or DPS output I should say. It does not necessarily mean it has to be better. Now I have on purpose chosen Toxodai because guess what? There's an H4 advisor, Alexander the Great, that improves the attack rate even further, by 30%. Now again, this looks better for the Marduk's bow. But when you realize that like more than 50% of the DPS output is from the attack rate, that makes a huge difference, to be honest, because if it's more than 50%, imagine it's like 14 DPS and you're getting more than 50% turning it into 21. I mean, it's still just 14, whereas this one had a little bit more, but now we're attacking faster. And again, okay, it's gonna complicate, but what I want to say, I feel like overkilling the attack rate is not necessarily a good thing all the time, but it can definitely help. And let me get back here. Attack rate can have one more additional effect, which is also nice to include here, and that's less time required for one attack. And with this, you might remember that there's this one really nice unit, Gastapheres, for Greeks, and this is very well noticeable about that unit, that it has its attack at the beginning of the attack animation. Like if I had to draw it, you imagine we'll have some space. Let's say, oh, come on, give me a brush. So let's say this is one cycle of the attack animation. So the Gastrapheres has it like at the very beginning. It's not necessarily at the very start, but it's gonna be like somewhere right here. And most of the range units like Toxodes need to wind up, and then they're gonna find it's gonna be like somewhere here, something like that. And then they put in the arrow back, and then it starts again. What's really worth noticing? What if it happens here? The rest of the time is free. The unit can do whatever because it's still gonna like it's gonna be some kind of reload time before it can attack again, and that's what like the rest of the attack animation could be considered. So if we include the Gastrafed, if we talk about Gastrafedes, if it attacks at the beginning of its attack animation, what can we do with the rest of the time? We can move it, and that's really strong about that unit. It's very mobile, even though it has very low movement speed in comparison to many other units, namely ranged units. It is quite mobile because the attack occurs here at the beginning. Now most of the other ranged units don't have this luxury, and they have it over here. But if we have the attack rate improved, that means this whole thing is gonna shorten, and that means the attack is gonna occur, like let's say suddenly the attack is gonna be, the attack animation is gonna be like this long. The attack animation is gonna occur somewhere here. Now that means the ranged unit can move sooner. We don't have to wait that long for the attack for the arrow to get launched. We can just make the unit move sooner. Now this does not necessarily mean that they're gonna move that far, but they can definitely move quite often, or I would say more often, even though the times are gonna be shorter. That's also worth noticing. I guess it's not necessarily like that positive, but microing those units, like hey, Alpha launch the one volley, move a little bit. We're gonna have shorter walks with this, but they're gonna happen more often as the attack animation is gonna happen again, like this, again. So it's gonna add up, and you can see it's already like this. And meanwhile here we're gonna wait for the another attack, but here we already moved twice, something like that. Okay, that can happen here as well. But yeah, that was the main thing I wanted to talk about here. Damage versus attack rate. Like, do not say like one is better if we have just better DPS output. It doesn't necessarily mean to be need to mean that one is better over the other. Both are still solid choices. Pick whichever one you like. I just kind of dislike it when we already have Alexandra with like Toxotes. We have Sargon for the Babylonian chariot archers. I feel like for them it's kind of like, eh, I don't really like it. But let's say we can put Marduks on Celtic bowmen because their attack time is very long, so shortening it there is just really nice thing, nice touch there. That's why I feel like Marduks can be really nice. But yeah, okay, I want to move on to the throwing arm. This one has been added this year, and yes, I said that this is the highest DPS output you're gonna get. But as with Toxotes, it's still somewhat more complicated. Okay, so if we compare the stats, 48.7% and 16% attack rate versus, and I'm gonna compare it to the set Siege Arm because I think that's the best counterpart. Everything else is just more range, more stun, or really low damage. So I don't really wanna compare it to this, and I feel like Set's siege arm is the best throwing arm you can get. But with the Marduk's throwing arm, we have some competition here. So 60% damage here. If we take a look at the stats, and I obviously took Ballista here, which is really good in my opinion to compare it here. If we take a look at this, so these first two ballistas are the Themistocles ballistas, and you can see they do less damage, but remember they also have lower population cost. So we could say if I had to say 25% more damage because we can afford more ballistas in our army. So yeah, 25% more units. So for 8 of these I can afford 10 of these. That's really good comparison. So we can say this damage could be like 25% higher, and all of a sudden we can see this is higher than this, this is higher than this. I think this is even higher than this. That might be true as well. But we need to remember, this is Themistocles. This guy gives a lot of attack speed, 50% attack speed to be honest, to be concrete, and it also lowers the damage by 25%. Now if we include this fact here, this is the Marduk's throwing arm, okay? There's this DPS output might seem very high, but remember there's a lot of attack speed, so those hits will not do that much damage as it looks. You'll just be able to fire so many bolts or shots or whatever you want to call it in short amount of time. That's the thing about this, but they'll do much less damage, so it's gonna take longer to kill the enemy units. Now obviously we can use the fact that we can afford more units here, but I'm like, okay, but I could afford it with this one as well. And here, because I'm not using the Marduks but the sets, it does a lot of damage. Now another thing here worth considering is the splash area. Obviously if we have higher damage output, we can kill more units faster thanks to the splash area, because yeah, it's better to cover this huge ground than this small ground. So doing more damage, killing more units faster thanks to the higher damage. Now again, does not necessarily have to be true all the time, since sometimes you might need more shots, but again it's the same thing as with Marduk's bow versus Master Hunter bow. Again, situational, you might need more ballistas to compensate for the lower damage output, and sometimes you might need more than just one volley to burst the enemy units. So again, if I had to say, I was testing this, I tried the Themistocles with Marduks, and I've been using Themistocles with sets for a really long time, and I'll be honest, when I tried it with Marduk, I didn't like it. I did not like it. I did not like what I saw whatsoever. I used 10 ballistas and I hated it. I hated it. My ballistas felt like they don't do any damage. I don't know why, it just felt that way. I didn't like it whatsoever. Then I tried ballista with Seleucus, and I put in the Marduk's throwing arm here. And obviously with Set's throwing arm, that's a lot of damage you can do in one shot. But let's be honest, do we really need that high damage when we are using already Seleucus? And that's why I feel like this might be too much overkill. I might not need that many ballistas, but I feel like it's an overkill. With the throwing arm using the Marduk's throwing arm, however, it felt so much better. Like, sure, they don't do that much damage, but because they attack faster, I can kill units faster, and weapon up ballistas. That's quite easy, to be honest. And I personally like this a lot. Definitely much better than Themistocles plus Marduk. And I would say, if I had to choose here, I would say if you use Seleucus, Marduk is really good. If you're using Themistocles, Sets is better. But I'm gonna leave it to you to test the ballistas on your own. Here's my opinion. I didn't like putting a lot of attack speed, and I feel like it's just better to combine the damage and attack rate. Now, honestly, it would be better if I had some video here to show it to you, but I just feel like it's better to combine. Don't like over. I don't know how to say it. Just don't put too much attack rate or too much damage. Better combine it with either have Seleucus with the attack rate or Themistocles with the damage. That's my opinion. In my opinion, it's really better this way. It makes more sense to me and it works really nicely. Okay, and I think that's all I have to say about damage attack rate. I don't know if I should include something more. I think I said the main thing. Now let's move to the crit chance. Now obviously crit chance. That's my cursor. There it is. Crit chance is just a chance, obviously, and you don't really see that one in stats. How does it work? Obviously, each attack has a chance to do additional damage, which is additional 100%. And I was talking a lot about it in some of my previous videos. That if I wanna consider how much damage I'm getting out of it on average, it's just that the crit chance is equal to the damage on average, obviously, because sometimes I can get really lucky, sometimes I don't even know if I have crit chance or not. Yeah, I feel like it does not exist. It might not even exist, but yeah, it does exist. So it's a chance, and obviously there are counts, but I'm not gonna go too much into the detail. And I feel like I need to mention this, that a small amount of crit chance might not be the worst thing, and we have like few items that give you like less damage, but they also give you some crit chance. And I was thinking like, would could those items actually have some kind of use? And when you actually compare the damage values, it might not be that bad to trade that little bit of damage for a crit chance. Now it's obvious, it can obviously depend. And for this, I made a build. Come on, where's my cursor? Okay, so yeah, I was looking at builds with Centurion, and I have 3 builds. So we have very high crit chance. I have some small number of crit chance getting from the weapons, and then I just have pure damage. If we take a look at the stats, obviously no upgrades here. So look at this. This one is offering the lowest damage you can get, but we have very high crit chance. But the question is, would this actually be better on average in comparison to the other? And if we multiply it, the obvious answer is no, it's not that much stronger at this. And I'll be honest, I feel like this is just a little bit overkill. It might be interesting, maybe it's better than I think, but I just don't feel like that's the case. Now, why I don't feel like, because those attacks, as you can see, do the lowest damage. So even though it crit a lot, those attacks will not be as strong as the attacks over here or over here. So it can be nice for those few hits, but what if I just don't get lucky? And that's what I feel like is the problem. Now, what I really like is the middle one in comparison to the last one. Obviously, this is more, what's the word again? Reliable. This is more reliable damage output. If we go for pure damage, it's always gonna be there. No matter what the crit chance is, it's always gonna be there. We're always gonna do this amount of damage. But if we have some crit chance over here, and we have lower damage, obviously, what can this do actually? What if we get lucky and actually apply the critical hit? We do like one more hit, because double damage. If we get lucky, obviously. And we can suddenly burst some units. And I think Centurion is actually a good example for this, because they do a lot of damage. What if in both of these cases it would take like, let's say it takes 6 hits to kill the enemy unit in both cases. But this one is always gonna do 6 hits, right? Ignore the crit chance here. It's gonna do the 6 hits. But here we have really good chance that the attack is gonna apply critical hit. That means we suddenly did 2 hits with one attack. And suddenly we need 5 attacks instead of 6. And I hope you get me where I'm going. I just feel like that there might be situations where having this small amount of critical chance can help you kill units faster. Now, obviously, it might not be always the case, because this is obviously the better. And the longer it's gonna take for you to kill the target, the better this is gonna look, because there's no chance to burst it. Because if suddenly I need 100 hits here and this one needs like 110, I mean, there is a chance, but it might not always work. That's obvious. And suddenly it's gonna start a little bit better. But if it takes like shorter amount of time, having the chance to just crit something and burst it down one hit sooner, maybe even more, can be interesting. And if we take a look at like how much damage we're actually trading here, because take a look at this. So let me pull out the calculator here. So let's go 142.74. if we divide it by 129.23, this is the value we're gonna get. And obviously, to get from the middle value to this value, we need like 10.45% damage, which is not that much, honestly. That's not that much. If I have a chance to burst it down, obviously, what is actually this? That means for every, let's say, 10 hits with this one is gonna take 1 hit less. So if this was targeting something that it would take 100 hits, this one would kill it in 90 hits. With the crit chance here, you have pretty good chance to burst something down. Now obviously this one also has some good chance, so it's obviously gonna be better for this one in longer term. In shorter term, this is gonna be better in some specific cases, but it might not be as bad looking. If it takes like less than, oops, less than 10 hits to kill the target, then this can actually end up being better. And in case of Centurion, this can be actually quite a difference. So if you're looking for something interesting, more affordable, I would say don't underestimate some of these weaker weapons, even though they just have critical chance, even though the DPS output does not look better than with this weapon. Don't underestimate it, okay? And I just wanted to point out that these stats, although the effect ends up being the same, improving DPS, they are still different stats. Each of them does something completely different, and there might be cases where one can be better than the other, but still there might be cases where the other one is better than the first one in the other cases. So all I'm gonna say, pick one of those, whichever you prefer more, go ahead with it. It's your choice, but don't say it's like necessarily bad or that one is much more better than the other. That's not true, and you can see it. The attack rate, the overkill can still happen even with the attack rate, and obviously the overkill can happen with the crit chance as well. What if suddenly the critical hit happens on the last hit? That can happen as well. So all of these can overkill no matter what. Pick whichever one you like most and try builds. Try different builds. Okay? Don't just go with like this has the highest DPS. That does not necessarily has to mean that it's the best choice right away. It might fit you, it might not. Okay, and with this I can end this video. So I hope I explained what I think about these damage outputs. I hope I put some ideas into your minds. If not, well, I guess it was a waste of time, but I tried my best. What you should take from it, from this video, don't say that one stat is better than the other, okay? Or like one piece of gear is better than the other. Try the stuff, see how it works for you. And if you enjoyed this video, please press the like button. If you want to see more videos like these, please, really please leave a comment, tell me what I should talk about next. And remember to subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next time. Bye.